Right, I'm very lucky to have Dirk from Soilwork on the phone with me right now. Dirk, thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome, Al. Thanks for talking to me, man.
Oh, it's my pleasure indeed. Now, Soilwork have been around for a number of years now, going strong, but let's talk for a minute about 2013. I mean, I know we're here to talk about the new album. We'll get onto that very shortly. But in 2013, you did something that bands just don't do anymore, and that's you released a double studio album. Now, that must have been a huge decision. Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. It was a huge decision, and it was an idea that initially our singer Bjorn came up with because, we're all, of course, from a generation where we had the double vinyls and that whole experience, of like, oh, here's a double album and a concept and all these cool things that go with it. And he kind of wanted to recapture that. So he shared that with us at one point, I think sometime I think it was as early as actually 2011, if I remember correctly, is when he first started mentioning it. And so it took us a while, the rest of us, to kind of, like, do we want to do that? Because, I mean, sometimes it's hard to just write enough good songs for a single record, and that can be a challenge. But it turns out, we all were into it, and we were kind of in a place where, it was kind of cool to just kind of give ourselves something to aim for and a new challenge, and also to show people that, we can do this. We know that somebody who's written a lot of songs in the band and has been really important to the band, Peter Witcher's, left, and people have their doubts maybe about if Soilwork will be the same. But we felt, that let's give this a shot. And it was a lot of fun, and it actually went really, really smoothly, and we ended up with even more songs than we needed, hence the EP
Wow.
we released last year, which had like 5 songs that were also recorded during the Living Infinite sessions, but that we felt, kind of didn't fit as well on the album. And yeah, man, it was fun, and I'm really, really proud of what we did with the Living Infinite.
And so you should be. I love that album. How was it received generally?
Thank you. Yeah, it was received amazingly. I mean, I felt it was good, but you never know how people are going to feel about it really until they tell you. And both press and fans were just, overwhelmingly positive, and we could really sense it too on tour, because there was really an upswing on the road with just, amount of people that showed up to our shows, and just the feedback we were getting from people that we were, fans we met before and after shows, etc. was just pretty amazing, so we were like, yeah, we definitely must have done something right there, because people really seem to enjoy all this variety that we kind of allowed into the album. And
Yeah.
and just the fact that we managed to, like, I spent a lot of time on the track order, for example. That was really important for us to have something that would flow and that wouldn't be boring, and that would be like, feel like an adventure for 20 songs, and it seems to have really worked. So, yeah.
Well done. Now, you did the live DVD just recently as well. How was that going?
It was an interesting thing, very different from what we've usually done, and I think actually the timing was perfect. We'd been wanting to do it for a long time, and people had asked us, like, when are you doing a DVD? And I'm kind of happy we waited until we did have the Living Infinite under our belts, because it was a good album to kind of base it around, to play a lot of songs off of, and then just kind of include something from every other album as well. And also the band was just, inside the band, we were in a really good place. Like, we all were kind of on the same page as to where we're headed and stuff. So that made it for a fun experience. And you can tell, I think, that the show is like, we're having a lot of fun.
Excellent. Now, coming up later this month, your new album, the Ride Majestic, is about to come out. Now, I read in the bio that they send us, musically exploring darker grounds. What's that about?
Well, we write from our emotions pretty much, and it turns out that, the past year or whatever has been kind of dark for people in the band, in the sense that we've lost people that were dear to us. People have fallen ill. There's been some unexpected deaths, and some more, expected deaths of, like, grandparents that were reaching the end of their days and stuff. And, of course, all that stuff kind of inevitably influences what's happening musically and emotionally, and so we just kind of decided early on to embrace that, and to, there was no escaping that, and it's gonna take over your life at some points, and so we tried to turn that into a realization about enjoying life and enjoying the people that are there when they're there, and enjoying every day as good as you can. Any setbacks that can happen or any bad things that can happen can be, for the most part, relativized to a point where you can still make the best of it. And I think as we grow a little bit older, we kind of try to embrace that notion, and that's really what the album's about in the end.
Yeah, the Ride Majestic, that's where the title comes in, doesn't it?
Exactly. It's a majestic ride to be alive, and you have to embrace that majesty. You have to find it sometimes, and even when those darker moments, the album itself is a proof that you can do something ultimately positive with that, because the music is gonna hopefully make people, feel something good, and inspire them to kind of go out there and be like, yeah, sure, this sucks and whatever's happening right now sucks, but I'm also fortunate in many ways, because sometimes we all have to remind ourselves of that. We all get a bit jaded and carried away with the daily little things, that can sometimes just upset us. And so, making that conscious effort of like, wow, but life is beautiful, and I really shouldn't be that bothered by these little things that are annoying. It can really change your day.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you've got a new bass player recently, Marcus. Now, he's been a guitar tech for you for a while. Now he's stepping in to fill the shoes, even overfill the shoes of Ola, who was a big fella. Tell us about Marcus.
Marcus is a great friend. He was a friend of the band before I was even in the band, and I got to work with him pretty early on because he was on and off on tour with us. He wasn't like a fixed member of our crew, but he did occasional tours with us. And he's always been somebody we really enjoyed having around because he's a very proactive person, very fun, good-natured. And really the only thing we didn't really know about him was how his bass playing was. But, ironically enough, we pretty much based our decision on the fact that we knew he would be a great guy to fill Ola's shoes, because Ola was a very fun person to be around. He could really, create a great atmosphere on the road, and that's really important. And when he kind of felt like it was time for him to do something else in his life, we really had a few long discussions about like what we should do, because sure, you can get some crazy bass player, and for us it was the most important thing to have somebody that we knew would fit in and that would kind of fill, the human void that would be left, unfortunately, by Ola not being there. And when we thought about it, we were like, Marcus will do that, and if on top of that he can play bass as well, that's awesome. And it turns out he can. It turns out he's a killer bass player too. So.
Well, that's just a bonus, isn't it?
Yeah.
When did he debut live?
We did a few shows in Scandinavia late April, early May, kind of in the middle of the album recording, and that's when he played with us. But we didn't really talk about it back then because we kind of felt like it would be a good test to see how it would all go in practical, fashion, and we didn't really want people to kind of be worried about, oh, there's another band member leaving. We kind of felt like, let's just smoothly ease into this, and we felt really good about having Marcus, and I think people will easily embrace him. And of course, Ula will be missed. He was there since the very early days of the band, and he's a big personality. He brought a lot to our live shows, and also to, like I said earlier, to the vibe within the band. And I definitely would never underestimate or underplay like what he brought. But the truth of the matter is that he was ready to go to another place in his life, and we're all his friends, so we can only respect that and wish him the best.
Yeah, okay. Did Marcus play on the album at all?
He didn't. He kind of, it kind of happened in a place where our only choice was really to have Sylvain and David handle the bass duties on the record, and Marcus was okay with that. And I think it's cool. I mean, I joined the band myself at a time when there had just been an album released, which was Figure Number 5, and which I didn't play on or was involved with. And I think it's kind of cool to have that time to tour and to get to know each other musically and then do a record, which it worked really well for me. So I think for Marcus it'll work as well.
Okay. Get back to the album. Single album this time. I've only had the chance to listen to it twice. So it's a bit hard to put it this way. Do you have any favourite tracks or tracks which you definitely see are going to be in the live set?
Well, yeah, I do. I think, for example, the fourth song, which is called Enemies Infidelity. I think that's a really unique track, and I kind of have a weird relationship with it because when we were recording it, it was the only track that I kind of struggled with knowing, like, is this good what I'm doing? Is it working out? With all the other tracks, I felt pretty confident about it. And that one is the one where I had a little bit of a moment of doubt in the studio. Maybe I was also getting tired because it was towards the end of the recording, but, I wasn't quite sure about it. And then, of course, it turns out to be like one of my favorite songs on the album. It's like the typical thing that always happens, when you least expect it, the magic hits you. And so I think that's a really unique song because it has this blend of aggression and melody that's just kind of, unique. Like, it's something we haven't really done before, and I don't really know any other bands that have done it that way. So I'm really excited about that one. And also, I have many favorites on the record, but I think it's a really diverse album. And I think, if you had the chance to listen to it twice, I think a few more listens and it'll open up for you, because what I've heard from most people who've heard it is that it takes like 4 or 5 listens to really kind of reveal itself. And that's kind of cool. To me, those are usually the albums that will last, in the long run. Like, if you like it right away, that's cool, but you might not necessarily go back to it as much as to an album that kind of takes time to grow on you.
Absolutely. One song that did stand out was Father and Son Watching the World Go Down.
I'm so happy to hear that. That's actually the next one I was going to mention, and I kind of stopped myself, but that's another favorite. I think it's a really unique song. David wrote it, kind of in a moment of what he told us, like kind of a moment where it was just kind of a gloomy vibe that set in with him, and he just kind of embraced that vibe and did something with it. And the demo was already a very different sounding song. And then the way we all kind of worked with it, and Bjorn kind of put those really, pretty deep lyrics on it, it really turned it into an amazing track. I think that's gonna, I'm glad it struck a nerve with you, because it really did with me too. When it was finished and I heard the vocals and stuff, I was like, man, this is special. It's a very unique song.
Well, there you go. Now the album's coming out later this month. Where to from here for Soilwork?
Lots of touring. All across the world. That's our mission, and we honestly didn't tour as much as we had intended to for The Living Infinite for a variety of reasons. That kind of got stopped short, and but we sorted all that stuff out and got our act together for the business side of the band, and now we're ready to just conquer the world. So I think it's about time that we go places we haven't been before, including Australia and New Zealand. We definitely want to be back in Australia soon, and also go to New Zealand, which we haven't done yet. And we have a show booked in India next summer, which will be our first time there as well. And also South America is on our radar. We've been wanting to go there for a long time, but it has just never fallen into place. So it's time for us to do all that, and of course tons of shows in Europe and North America. That goes without saying.
Excellent. Dirk, absolutely magnificent talking to you. I really wish we had more time. Congratulations on all your success. Congratulations on the new album. And we hope to see you back here in Adelaide soon.
Thank you so much, Mal. We're looking forward to being back. We will be back soon.
Excellent. Thanks for talking to me.
You're welcome. Take care, man.